Hey guys, Hounddoomed here, coming at you once again with another episode of Pokémon Emerald. On the last episode, we took down the Rustboro Gym and its leader, Roxanne, and also got here to Dewford Town, after I rambled forever. So yeah, on this episode we're going to be exploring Dewford Town as well as the Granite Cave to the west. Off screen, as promised, I did train up my Abra, Ellie. And it is very close to level 16, although that took so long, you have no idea. I really should have caught it in the Granite Cave rather than catching it earlier, because that just took so long. Because obviously you have to switch train, which it just took so long. Okay, so anyway, let's explore Dewford Town. So, hello. Dewford is a tiny island community. If something gets trendy here, everyone picks up on it right away. Well, maybe I'll look out for that then. What else do we have? Hello. Gorge your eyes on this. It's a silk scarf. It's right at the cutting edge of fashion. Yeah. Oh, I can see your eyes twinkling. You appreciate my dazzling style. Oh, you're a delight. Here you go. I want you to have it. So you get a silk scarf, which will power up your normal type moves by 10%. I think it's either 10 or 20. I'm not sure whether it got increased to 20 in the next gen or whether it's 20 now. I don't know. Whatever. So 10 or 20%. It's nice anyway. Wow, you bothered to cross the sea to visit Dewford? Did you maybe come here because you heard about Brawly? He's so cool. Everyone idolizes him. Well, there is a gym here, but I did come here for another reason as well. I like what's hip, happening and trendy. I'm always checking it out. Listen, have you heard about this new Pretty Complete? That's right, of course you know. I mean, sheesh. Pretty Complete is the hottest thing in cool. Wherever you're from, Pretty Complete is the biggest thing happening, right? No. Huh? It's not the hip and happening thing? Well, hey, you have to tell me. What's new and what's in? Okay. So... can select two words here. Frankly, I'm gonna try and find the... I want to commemorate Maryland on this. I just need to find it though. If you know what I'm talking about, then you're awesome, because quite frankly this was awesome just seeing this. Right, I'll do it this way actually. Let me find it. Big. And let's try and find it. There we go. Big service. That was so funny when he did that. He said it so many times in just like a very short space of time. It was so funny. But yeah, it's so like 5 minutes ago. I'm not gonna do the voice though, because it will fail. Hello, I'm teaching my Pokemon about big service, but it's not going well. It's a bit too much, I think. What's in vogue? Why, it has to be big service. I can't imagine what life would be like without big service. Wow, word really does get around, huh? I'm studying up on the hip and trendy big service now. Is it true that there's a deep link between big service and collection? Yeah? Oh, so my hunch was right. I'm one step closer to being hip and happening. Yowza! Well, good for you. Across the sea, is big service even more popular? Of course it is. I live in the UK and Maryland lives in the US, so, you know, of course it is. This whole business about big service, isn't there a TV show on it? Well, you could say that. I collect official big service licensed merchandise. I have official official big service brand clothing and officially licensed big service picture books. I own. I'm not sharing anything with you. Oh, well, you obviously have very bad parents. If you and me team up as a combo, we'll be invincible when it all comes down to things big service. Spot on, my friend. We shall be the big... God. Innuendos. Isn't that a ripe image? Ha ha ha. I don't... perhaps I shouldn't have chosen that particular phrase, but anyway. What else do we have around here? I'm going to talk to you last, because I know what you give me. Some big service. Oh dear. There's a lot to be said for living on a small island like this in harmony with Pokemon and the family. Well, you seem to just have a wife and then a Zigzagoon, so obviously have a big family. I left the major port of Slateport City when I married my husband here. Life goes by slowly on this little island, but being surrounded by the beautiful sea, that's happiness too. Well, yeah, I'm pretty much surrounded by sea, so I guess. Makes it a lot colder, I'll give you that. This is a renowned fishing spot. Are you getting the itch to fish? I guess. I hear you, and I like what you're saying. I'll give you one of my fishing rods. So you get the old rod. You know what this means, don't you? And as an added bonus, I'll even throw in a little fishing advice. First you want to face the water, then use the rod. Focus your mind. If you get a bite, pull on the rod. Sometimes you can snag something immediately, but with bigger catches, you need time to pull the rods. You need to time the pulls on your rod to haul them in. That was really difficult to say. So yeah, there are 2 new Pokemon here, which I'm gonna cover now. So yeah, I'll see you in a sec. One of the new Pokemon you can find in Dewford Town with the old rod is Magikarp. Magikarp is a water type and can have the ability Swift Swim, and is found all over Hoenn in any patch of water with the old rod. When looking at its stats, you can see that it's obviously lousy. It is just awful. Has practically no stats anywhere, but is very fast, and also has decent physical defense. But really, you want to evolve it into a Gyarados as soon as you possibly can. I wouldn't recommend catching a Magikarp at this point in the game because it is so difficult to train, and so I probably wouldn't get one until you get the good rod. So yeah, just kind of leave it until then. But when it evolves into Gyarados at level 20, it will become a water flying type. Not sure why it's not Water Dragon, but whatever. And its Swift Swim ability will turn into Intimidate, which is a good ability for it. As a Gyarados, it can be found in Sutopolis City with the Super Rod. When looking at Gyarados, you can see that it's got pretty good stats all around, having very good physical attack, pretty damn good defences, especially on the special side, and is relatively fast as well. The problem is with many different Pokemon, the physical special split digs into Gyarados. The fact is that Gyarados is primarily a water type and it has practically no special attack. Even a Hydro Pump from a Gyarados will do practically nothing. As well as that, Gyarados has no flying type moves whatsoever. I don't even think it learns Aerial Ace, so the best you're going to have to go with is get lucky with Hidden Power Flying. Otherwise you're literally going to have practically no moves. It really doesn't learn many on the physical side. Most of its moves are on the special side, which is a shame considering Gyarados is, despite it being my most hated Pokemon ever, it really is good. It has some fantastic stat arrangements. But because of the fact that practically all of its moves are special apart from Earthquake basically, it can't get very high. I mean, it's got those amazing stats, but it really just doesn't perform very well. So unfortunately Gyarados will only get about 2.5 stars. The other new Pokemon you can find in Dewford Town with the old rod is Tentacool. Tentacool is a water poison type and can have the abilities either Clear Body or Liquid Ooze. Clear Body probably being the better one of the two. Can be found pretty much all over Hoenn through surfing and fishing, can be found in most places. When looking at Tentacool, it's actually a pretty fast Pokemon. Base 70 speed is pretty damn good, and also has incredibly high special defense for an unevolved Pokemon. But the rest of its stats are fairly lousy. Its special attack is okay though. When it evolves into Tentacruel at level 30, which can be found at the abandoned ship in the little patch of water there, its special defense becomes even higher, being base 120, which is really high. And also becomes pretty fast as well, but it's still kind of struggling on the special attack side. It's good enough, but it's not fantastic really. It could do with being a bit higher. When considering Tentacruel, it's good, and always has been quite good, but one of its types is physical, and it doesn't really have very good physical attack at all. It's usable, but it's not amazing. I mean, even its special attack isn't that great. But Tentacruel wasn't cursed at all with the physical special split thing in this gen, so Tentacruel is usable. but I wouldn't use it until you get a slightly later in the game, because Tentacle doesn't actually learn a very viable move until level 22 or 3 when it learns Bubble Beam, but until then it really is not very usable at all, so I probably wouldn't use it till then. But after that point I would give Tentacle about 3 stars. Okay, so just quickly, I do need to evolve my Abra, so I think what we'll do is we will use this old rod, hopefully find a Tentacle because it actually gives some experience, and we'll evolve it nice and quickly, just because it'll be easier this way. A Magikarp, okay. Well, quite frankly, I can't see this actually giving me the experience I need, but let's do it anyway. So let's go into Blade Storm. I haven't really thought of a better name for Blade Storm, so I think I'm actually just going to keep that name for her, just because it's going to be a bit easier, really. Let's go for Bullet Seed. Doesn't really matter what the hell I do against this thing, because it can only lose Splash. Oh, Magikarp, how I hate you. Oh, wow, 12 experience. I'm going to need to take out like 5 of those frickin' things. Whereas if I just find a Tentacle, hint, 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 then it won't take very long at all. Come on. I guess I really should do this off screen, but I do want to catch the evolution on screen, so... well, you're not even worth taking out. Since this is probably going to be one of the only times I ever use it, let's just teleport. Why not? Alright, let's keep trying. It's a 30% chance to find a Tentacle, so come on. Don't need to take the mick here. And another Magikarp. Level 5 again. Ugh. Come on. Can't be dealing with this. So boring. And look, I'm so close to that stupid level. Actually, let's just avoid the trainers here and then just go to the Granite Cave. Fight a Pokémon and then fight those trainers, because it's just going to be easier that way. Okay. I'll cover the new Pokémon you can find here. There's one of them. At the end of this place, just to kind of split up the Pokémon reviews a bit nicer, because obviously you don't want them in just one big block. So, well, I guess really you could, because, well, it depends if you watch them, I guess. If you watch them, then it's better to have them split, but if you don't watch them, it's better to only have to click the skip once. Right, so let's take out this Makuhita. Take it out with a Bullet Seed. Really? Well, at least I hit 3 times. Watch this not give all the experience I need. Watch. Oh good, it did. Yay, it's level 16 now. And yeah, Blade Storm did grow up to level 20 while I was training. But here we go. Ellie's evolving now. Thank God. It only took forever. Seriously, that took like hours. I'm not even kidding. Anyway, so we have a Kadabra. Yay. You're not going to be staying as a Kadabra for very long, but hey. And we learn Confusion. Thank God. Right, so let's just get out of here and then cover those trainers that I did miss. So, you're up first. Hello, hello. What do people do if they need to go to a washroom? What if my rod hooks a big one while I'm in the washroom? I just can't go. Well, okay. Could always just put your rod down and then just, you know, leave it for a while. Alright, so let's use Confusion. Should easily be destroying that Tentacle. Wow, critical hit. Your high special defense won't help you against me. Oh, look at that amount of experience. I lost because I'm trying not to go to the washroom. Okay, well, perhaps you should just go then. Hello, hello. Which do you prefer, fishing in the sea or a stream? Well, I've never really done either, so can't really answer. Would probably prefer a stream, to be honest, because it's a bit quieter, but... And that's the point of fishing, it's supposed to be nice and quiet. Let's move Confusion there, just so that I don't have to click anything else, it's just there, ready. Take out that stupid Magikarp. And what do we have? Another tentacle. Okay, cool. See what I did there? Ugh, that was awful. Alright. Take that thing out with the confusion. These tentacles give a nice amount of experience. And a Magikarp. Level 10. How boring. This episode isn't actually going to be that long, it's just going to be... the bulk of this episode is literally just going to be Pokemon reviews. Oh, so we're registering Elliot in our Pokénav, cool. So we can possibly rematch him in the future. Suspicious. Aha, a Pokeball. Hidden right there, if you so desire. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. There is a total of 6 new Pokemon in here, I think. 7 if you're playing Ruby and Sapphire, but I did already cover Abra. Hey you! It gets awfully dark ahead. It'll be tough trying to explore. That guy who came by earlier, Steven I think it was, he knew how to use Flash, so he ought to be alright, but, well, for us hikers, helping out those that we meet is our motto. Here you go, I'll pass this on to you. So you get the HM4 Flash HM5, which you can only use after you have beaten the Dewford Gym. Teach that hidden move Flash to a Pokemon and use it. It lights up even the inky darkness of caves. But to use it, you need the gym badge from Dewford's Pokemon Gym. Unlike in Gen 2, you can actually navigate this area, or any area that needs Flash, relatively easily, so long as you know what it looks like, or how to get through it. You don't really need to have anything there. So, I think I'm just going to take these things out. Probably easier. Alright, so yeah, I'm just trying to think. There's Zubat, Makuhita, Agron, Sableye, Mawile if you're playing Ruby, and Nosepass. And I'm sure there's something else. Oh, Geodude. So there's, yeah, I think there's 7. Yeah, I think there's 6 or 7, I don't know, I can't count. But yeah, a number of Pokemon are around. So yeah, you're gonna maybe want to skip. I don't know. I don't know how you do your whether you watch them or not. It's cool if you do, because obviously I try to make my LPs as informative as possible. So we're up to level 17, woohoo! And I really should go buy a Repel, but whatever. Here's another new Pokemon, Agron. I might have a Repel or two actually. I'll have to have a look. Agron is probably the best Pokemon you can find in here. Do I have any? Oh, I do. I have one. Let's use it. Alright, so regardless of whether you've got Flash up, in this room you basically want to be heading to the right and then down. And then the same pretty much in here, apart from you're going the opposite way. And then you're looking for that, and then you want to be heading right. And then up the stairs, and over here, and then you're out of the Flash. Well, out of darkness. And yeah. Hello Makuhita. What are you doing laughing at me? Get away from here. Right. So, oh, come on. We don't need to eke this out. Hello, other Makuhita. I still don't need you. I am going to be getting a fighting type in this LP. But it's not Makuhita. It's one that's coming a lot later. Well, it's not a lot later actually. It's probably 4th gym. I'm also been making preparations for my 3rd Pokemon. Yeah, so not sure whether it's going to be because my fighting type might be my 3rd and then that will be my 4th. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it goes. But anyway, here's Steven. My name is Steven. I'm interested in rare stones, so I travel here and there. Oh, a letter for me? Well, there you go. Okay, thank you. You went through all of this trouble to deliver that. I need to thank you. Let me see. I'll give you this TM. It contains my favourite move, Steel Wing. So it gives you TM 47 for Steel Wing, which is nice. Can be used on some Pokemon, like Zubat for example. Your Pokemon appear quite capable. If you keep training, you could even become the champion of the Pokemon League one day. League one day. That's what I think. I know, since we've gotten to know each other, really, we've only been talking like 30 seconds, let's register one another in our Pokénavs. Alright, cool, so we have Steven in our Pokénav now. Now I've got to hurry along. Bye. Alright, so, you know what, there's not much point. I will just do the Pokemon reviews at the end of this episode, just because, quite frankly, there's going to be like another 20 seconds or so left of this episode. Provided I don't run into a billion wild Pokemon. In fact, quite frankly, I don't even need to put you through that. So, on the next episode, we're going to be taking on the Dewford Gym and its leader, Brawly. And at the end of this episode, there will be the God knows how many Pokemon reviews. So, Pokemon reviews coming at you right now. But if you don't want to watch them, I'll see you next time, guys. One of the new Pokemon you can find in the Granite Cave is Zubat. Zubat is a poison flying type and can have the ability Inner Focus. Can be found at the Granite Cave, Meteor Falls, the Cave of Origin, Shoal Cave, Seafloor Cavern and Victory Road in Ruby and Sapphire, and in Emerald it can be found in the same places as well as the Altering Cave. When looking at its stats you can see that it's quite plain really, doesn't really have any incredible stats. Its speed being the best one, and it's okay. When it evolves into Golbat at level 22, its stats get a little bit of a juice, becoming pretty defensive for an unevolved Pokemon, getting good attack stat and pretty good speed as well. Can be found as a Golbat at the Sky Pillar, Meteor Falls, Cave of Origin, Shoal Cave, Seafloor Cavern and the Victory Road. To evolve it into a Crobat though, you're going to have to evolve it through Happiness. But when it evolves through Happiness, it will get a lot more in the defensive stats, getting pretty defensive for a flying type, quite frankly. Getting good physical attack and is blazing quick, is one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. Crobat as a whole is pretty good. It's not the best flying type, but it's certainly not the worst. It really does struggle for coverage, but if you manage to get, like later on when you can get the Hidden Power TM, and you can buy loads of them and such, Crobat's good if you manage to get yourself Hidden Power either fighting or ground, because then you can take on steel types. But it can also learn, obviously, its poison and flying type moves. So, it can even use Sludge Bomb in this gen, which is nice because it's physical. It can also use moves such as Shadow Ball and Steel Wing, which are also good moves. But as a whole, I'd say that Crobat's pretty good. I would give Crobat 4 stars. Another new Pokemon you can find in the Granite Cave is Makuhita. Makuhita is a fighting type and can have the abilities either Guts or Thick Fat. Either are pretty good. Can be found at the Granite Cave and as well as the Victory Road in all 3 games. When looking at Makuhita, it's got very good physical attack for an unevolved Pokemon and pretty damn good HP as well, but the rest of its stats are pretty lousy. When it evolves into Hariyama at level 24, which can be found at the Victory Road, its physical attack doubles in base stats and becomes base 120, which is very good. As well as that, its HP will also double. In fact, all of its stats double. All of its stats double, so yeah. Hariyama gets a good stat arrangement, is pretty bulky for a fighting type, and gets very good physical attack, but is pretty slow, and still isn't that amazing defensively. Hariyama on a whole is pretty good. It's not the best fighting type because it does kind of struggle for coverage, but it is pretty good. It's bulky enough to take a lot of hits and can certainly deal them out, as well as that status doesn't affect him if he uses Guts, because obviously he's just going to get more attack power. But that physical attack power is definitely underestimated. Base 120 is very high. Yeah, I'd say that Hariyama is very good, and I would personally give Hariyama about 3.5 stars. Another new Pokemon you can find in the Granite Cave is Geodude. Geodude is a rock ground type and can have the abilities either Rock Head or Sturdy. Can be found at the Granite Cave as well as the Magma Hideout in Emerald, as well as any smashable rock. And in Ruby and Sapphire it's pretty much the same, apart from without the Magma Hideout because it's not available there. When looking at Geodude's stats, it's the typical rock type, having very good physical defense, very good physical attack, and then relatively low stats everywhere else, particularly on the special side and particularly on speed as well. When it evolves into Graveler at level 25, it has very good physical defense for a non-evolved Pokemon, as well as pretty damn good physical attack as well. Still quite weak on the special side defensively and is very slow. Can be found as a Graveler in Victory Road through using Rock Smash, as well as in the Magma Hideout in Emerald. To evolve into a Golem you're going to have to use a Link Trade, but when you've done so, its physical defense becomes really high. It can take a lot of physical hits. As well as that, its physical attack is very high. It does very well with its stab moves, and also has enough HP to live a lot of hits. As well as that, its special defense is not that bad. I mean, it's going to help it live some, you know, weak, super effective, say, ice type moves, but it's still pretty much doomed against water and grass, and also is still relatively slow. When considering Golem, Golem is pretty good. I would say that Golem is one of the better Pokemon in the game, despite being quite slow and despite being quite weak on the special side. Golem is very powerful, and with its stab moves alone it has relatively unresisted coverage, so yeah, it does pretty damn well. I'd say the Golem is pretty good, and I would give it 3.5 stars. Another new Pokemon you can find in the Granite Cave is Agron. Agron is a steel rock type and can have the abilities either Sturdy or Rock Head. Can be found in the Granite Cave as well as Victory Road in all 3 games. And when looking at Agron's stats, it has a very similar build to Geodude, basically taking 10 points out of attack and putting them in HP. Well, the rest of its stats are exactly the same. I think might be a bit faster, but yeah, Agron is pretty good, I would say. When it evolves into Lairon at level 32, which is obviously quite a ways off, but Agron can certainly hold its own until then. Lairon's physical defense becomes seriously high, like one of the highest in the game, and it's not even fully evolved. As well as that, it also gets pretty damn good physical attack, but it's still quite weak everywhere else. But its typing really does help it out, because quite frankly, even though it's quad weak to both fighting and ground, they're both physical types, so it can certainly take them much nicer. The only other type it's weak to is water, which it does struggle against, but it can certainly hold its own against water types. When it evolves into Agron at level 42, its defense becomes even higher, increasing by another 40 points, becoming base 180, which is like 3rd best in the game, I think, at this point. It might even, yeah, no, 3rd best after Steelix and the Ox's defense. But yeah, Agron is seriously good in defending. Despite having a relatively low HP stat, it's still pretty good. Weak on the defensive side especially though, and is quite slow, but also has very good physical attack, can certainly deal out some serious hits. As well as that, Agron can learn a huge amount of moves. Most of them are special though, which is a bit of a problem. But it can learn like so many moves. It can learn, like, even though they're special, it can learn Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Surf, Solar Beam, the Elemental Punches. It learns so many different types of moves. But it also does learn moves such as Iron Tail, Rock Tomb, Double Edge if you use Rock Head, which is kind of nice. It doesn't really have too much in the way of coverage physically, but despite that, it is very good. It's capable of taking hits very well, especially since it even learns Iron Defense, which is like massive. It's unbelievable, but yeah, I mean, Agron is good. It's one of the better Pokemon in the game. Even though it's quite slow, it's pretty damn good. I would give Agron 4 stars. Another new Pokemon you can find in the Granite Cave, only if you're playing Ruby though, is Mawile. Mawile is a Steel type and can have the abilities either Hypercutter or Intimidate. Can be found in the Granite Cave, Cave of Origin, Victory Road and Sky Pillar in Ruby only, and in Emerald it can be found in Victory Road. It doesn't evolve, and when looking at its stats you can see that it's actually pretty lousy. It really doesn't have very spectacular stats. Its physical attack and physical defense being okay. Mawile is one of those Pokemon that is basically screaming out for an evolution. But its Intimidate ability really does mean that it can take physical hits quite well. Especially since it's only weak to like 3 types. And it resists pretty much all of the others. So Mawile is not as bad as its base stats look, especially since it learns quite a few decent moves. But again, Steel isn't a very good offensive type, and Mawile is basically outclassed by Agron, despite the fact that it evolves much later. But Agron has like slightly less physical attack and slightly more physical defense without the Intimidate. So Agron is pretty much better. Mawile's better in the early stages of the game, but Agron's better later on. But Mawile is okay. I mean, it's okay, that's all I can really give it. I would give Mawile about 2 stars. Another new Pokemon you can find in the Granite Cave, only if you're playing Sapphire and Emerald, is Sableye. Sableye is a dark ghost type and can have the ability Keen Eye. Can be found in the Granite Cave, Cave of Origin, Victory Road and the Sky Pillar, again only in Sapphire and Emerald. If you're playing Ruby you're going to have to trade. Sableye is one of those Pokemon that does not have any weaknesses, and in this gen it's the only Pokemon to have such a trait. That doesn't necessarily mean it's that great though, because when looking at its stats you can see that they're very low, having nothing over base 75 puts it in a similar boat to Delcatty, quite frankly, as well as also having an annoying typing, which basically means that one of its types is physical and the other one is special, and it doesn't really have mixed attacking stats to deal with that. As well as that, they both have exactly the same type coverage, which sucks. Dark is probably slightly better than Ghost, but Sableye is not a very good Pokemon. It has 3 immunities and no weaknesses, but is not very good defensively. And despite looking absolutely awesome, Sableye is not a very good Pokemon and does not get very good until Gen 5, which is obviously much later on. So unfortunately Sableye is going to get 1.5 stars tops. The final new Pokemon you can find in the Granite Cave is Nosepass. Nosepass is a rock type and can have the abilities either Sturdy or Magnet Pull. It's found in the Granite Cave, but only if you smash rocks, which you can do much later on. But I may as well cover it now. When looking at its stats you can see that offensively it is nothing. It's like, it doesn't do anything. Defensively though, its defense stat is massive, becoming one of the highest unevolved defensive stats in the game, as well as relatively good special defense as well. But its HP is, again, basically non-existent. Nosepass can learn some interesting moves, such as like Thunderbolt, but that niche is not particularly great. It is just awful. Nosepass really is awful and doesn't get very good until Gen 4 when it gets an evolution. Nosepass is only really worth getting if you want to complete your Pokédex, because it's certainly not worth using in the game. Despite being good defensively, it's outclassed by Golem as well as Rhydon later on, and even Agron. Even Mawile is better than it, quite frankly. So yeah, Nosepass is awful. 1 star.